endless skies. Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained, I thrive, I thrive.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nomads 50 Plus. My name's Chris Kalaboukis, and it's my mission to interview 1,000 digital nomads and to help people get into the life of a digital nomad.
And hey, this is Mary Bartnikowski. I have been traveling full time for 20 years, and I'm on a mission to help you travel the world, no matter what your age. It's never too late. My whole midlife, I've been traveling. I can help you with a one-on-one session, but join us here, and you're going to learn a lot, and we're going to get you on the road.
Absolutely. And you also are the CEO of Fun. Don't forget that.
That's exactly right.
And I'm the CTO of Games, right? So
yep,
it's great.
That's what we are.
So you mentioned something earlier before we started, is that you wanted to talk about certain type of experience. And I'd love to hear more.
Okay, so mystical experiences can happen to you when you travel, and you may not even have thought that was possible, but I wanted to talk about it because ever since being a child and being raised Catholic in Catholic school, there were always questions I had in religion class specifically, and I would raise my hand, Sister, why is it that we would bring our religion to another country and call those people pagans? Like, they could never answer that question. And I thought, when I get older, I'm going to go traveling and I'm going to find out. So
wait a minute. They couldn't answer that question?
You know what their answer was? You just have to have faith.
Faith. Well, that is the answer to everything, isn't it? You just have to have faith.
And I would just look at them like, but that doesn't explain bringing
doesn't answer
this
the question
to this cult. And I asked it several times. And so I was like, this is a very important question because not everybody is Catholic. Not everybody should be made to be Catholic. So in my mind, as like a 6 and 7-year-old, I'm thinking, I'm going to investigate this. Well,
right. You put it into your to-do list for things I will investigate when I get older. Or you started then.
Right. And so, I did get some. I'm glad I was raised Catholic because it helps me to see things in a spiritual way. So it's not just these, and whatever religion people are, I'm completely, I've researched all these religions in Asia, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism.
Yeah. I went through a period like that in high school too, when I was raised Greek Orthodox. And I had the same questions you did. But the interesting thing is that we never went to Sunday school, even though my parents never let us go to Sunday school, so we didn't get all that extra learning on the back end. But the service was like half in Greek, so I didn't really even understand what was going on.
Yeah, because ours was in Latin when they were still doing
They
Latin.
subjected you to that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had to go.
How's your Latin? Are you fluent still, or no?
I didn't know what was going on, and I thought it was crazy. And then I was around when they converted to being in English, and it was a big deal.
Yeah. It started happening with ours too. It's because in the Greek church, whenever they're doing anything, they have to repeat everything 3 times because of the Trinity. So they decided to repeat one of the times would be in English, and twice would be in Greek, or sometimes it would be twice in English and once in Greek or something like that. So to try and make it feel more inclusive. Right. Did you guys have that too, or?
No, they didn't do the separate. It was always in Latin, and then of course the sermon was in English. But when they switched to the mass was going to be in English, that was a very big deal. It made it a lot more interesting because now we knew what he was saying.
You could actually understand what was happening.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I went to church the last time in Italy because I thought, well, I want to go to this cathedral, and this guy was speaking so rapid fire that Italian, and I didn't understand one word. And, I maybe know a little bit, but it's not a mystical experience.
But I think it basically informed us that, there are things outside of science and technology that
Yes.
we don't quite understand. And that's one of the things I got out of it is there are aspects of our lives which we try to explain away that cannot be explained. That
Yeah.
it's just not explicable in at our current level of science and technology and stuff like that. And you have some people who are like, no, 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 everything's explainable by science. But I disagree. There's
It's
there's
not.
lots of things that are outside that bubble, and we just have to understand that there are that those things exist, and we shouldn't have to try to pick them apart and figure out a scientific explanation for them, because there may not be.
Oh, I don't think there is. I
Yeah.
mean, after all the experiences I've had, I don't even have to debate it
Mm.
because, people cannot believe it if they want, but this is my experience that I've had firsthand.
Wow. Well, tell us
Well,
about it.
okay, so one of the first things was so I was going to Nepal, and both my son and I, he was volunteering in Nepal, and he asked me to come visit him. So
Hmm.
after our volunteer projects were done, he wanted to travel around Nepal. So we went, so we were considering different things to do. So he said, "Do you want to go to the birthplace of Buddha, which is Lumbini?" And I
Oh,
did later go.
that's actually in
Or,
Nepal? I didn't know that.
yeah.
Whoa.
And I've
Nice.
been there and and I can talk about that too. And I did a meditation retreat there, and it was the closest, I'd call it an abbey, really, because it was run by Buddhist nuns,
Mm.
the closest one to where he was born. So you're in
Wow.
this sacred garden where there's no commercial anything.
Wow.
And it's in the jungle, basically, and you've got to walk out of it to get to the town. So this is a sanctified, there's not going to be some
Wow. It must have
restaurant.
felt amazing, the
It
just being
does.
there.
It really does. And the experience of being there is transforming. You're
Mm.
there. I happened to be there on Buddha's birthday, the time that I did go.
Wow, good timing.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't know when Buddha's birthday, and actually, I was finding it very difficult to leave Nepal because I had this great group of friends, which never happened again quite like this,
Mm.
from different countries, and we were all in the jungle at the same time. Like one from England, one from Spain, one like
So
it
you were
was
all just
just
kind of doing pilgrimages to this place? Is that what?
well, we were all just travelers, and we
Just
all
and you just
ended up.
happened to all be there at the same time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we all got along, we meshed so well that I kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to leave." And then we'd have a goodbye party for me. And then we had like two more because I couldn't leave. and so, and so the reason I was leaving was because I had to get my flight to Italy, which I ended up changing. Like, who doesn't want to go to Italy? But
Yeah.
that was mystical too, because it's never been quite that way, that there was that group of people. And one of them I'm still in touch with.
Well, just like like, tell me about your initial impressions walking into that space. What it was like, how it
Oh,
felt.
of Lumbini?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, for this particular experience, I was coming all the way from India by bus.
Mm-hmm.
There's no train in Nepal.
Mm-hmm.
There's trains in India. So it's a dirty, dusty, it's it's a tough. Actually, if you want to go to my YouTube channel, I got an award for crossing the border from India to
An
Nepal.
award.
So crazy. Yeah. Because it was for unedited. So I didn't edit any of it. It was just like
Wow.
a 3 or 4 minute thing. And it's so wild that like no one's ever seen anything like when you cross from India into Nepal by
Wow.
walking.
Wow.
It's nuts. You should go see
I
it.
will I will put a link in the show notes for that one.
Okay. Because it's actually, they wouldn't let me do any advertising on it. There's some kind of weird thing about the border. Isn't that interesting?
Mm. Hmm. Things you don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So, okay, so this was a long, dirty journey, and so I finally get there, and I'm like, "Wow, this is sacred." I'm walking in there and going, I didn't even have a place to stay.
Wow, you were really winging it, weren't you?
Well, by that time I'd really learned, I just said goodbye to all my friends and I was stopping. I wanted to be sure I stopped in Lumbini before I went to India to get my flight to Milan or wherever I was flying in Italy. And so I thought, well, I gotta go there. So what happened was I've happened upon the birthday and I'm like, I can't even believe this. And then I'm walking around seeing these temples and there's like grazing buffalo.
Whoa.
And there's
And those guys are huge. Buffalo are massive, aren't they?
and one of them, this is also in this is in another video where I filmed me walking in Lumbini, and one donkey or buffalo had pulled up his stake that he was tied to, and he was dragging it along, this huge stake, like not a little one. This was like looked like a tree.
And was anybody like panicking or anything like that?
No one was even noticing. And I walked
So everyone was
through,
like really calm and placid and
everything
peaceful.
was. I even walked through the buffalo.
Wow.
That's how I felt. And this was after. Okay, so this time I was actually doing this meditation retreat at this nunnery, doing a vipassana retreat, but I needed to get a SIM card. So because the phone didn't work.
Modern technology invades the space.
Yeah, well, don't expect Wi-Fi or the phone to work when you go to these mystical places because they don't always work.
But that's a good thing.
Right? Yeah. Oh, it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was hearing that my son was going to get married and I'm like,
so
what?
You needed some connection to the outside world to be working.
Yeah. And so I'm like, can I please get a SIM card? So they let me, off for half an afternoon for meditation to go walk. So I'm actually filming myself. I fell down.
No.
I wasn't sure because you're in this garden with buffalo grazing. You're not even really sure where the entrance and exit is. I mean,
wow.
I was having a mystical experience there.
Must have been.
I mean, I had my own little, they call it a kuti, which is a bungalow. It's just for you with your own bathroom.
Kuti in Greek is actually the word for box.
Oh, okay.
So like
that's interesting.
They put you in a little box.
That's interesting. But this was beautiful because it was on a lotus pond.
Oh, man.
And it was just, I couldn't believe that you could get this level of accommodation for just a donation.
Wow.
So anybody
it must have been so peaceful.
It was incredible. Now, okay, so what happened was I was so tired after that journey, walking across the border, the buses and everything. I actually fell asleep in the meditation.
Wow.
On the floor.
Did somebody come by and whack you with a bamboo stick or something like that?
Okay, this is what happened. This is funny. So you get 2 meals a day and then you stop eating after 12 noon. You don't get another one until the morning.
Oh, it's like intermittent fasting.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't even care. You get used to it really quick. You're not.
Well, I often wonder, where do we get this whole 3 meals a day thing?
Yeah.
I mean, do we even really need that?
I don't think we do.
We probably don't need it anymore, right? Or ever needed it.
It's too much food. And
exactly.
So, and the food is pretty good. So anyway, so I'm sitting at the meal after I had fallen asleep. Nobody said anything. And a little brochure was next to my fork.
Oh, boy.
About the rules of the meditation room. And it was specifically highlighted that you're not supposed to fall asleep in there.
Well,
but then when I told them what, had happened, they're like, oh, okay, we understand.
Wow.
But I mean, to the energy of the place. Now, people talk about energy, but it's true. You're going to feel different energy in different places. And I've felt it in many places. I felt it meeting holy people where the hair on the back of your neck stands up. And you get this zap of, whoa, this person is enlightened. And they've got some wisdom. That was another experience in Thailand. And I moved into this temple for 2 months. And you have to be open to something like that happening because it's not familiar at all.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say is that you have to be open to those kind of experiences as well because some people just go in and then like this is what I'm looking for. It's kind of like the whole thing where you give somebody a mission to do something and they're focused on that mission and they're missing the $20 bill that's sitting in like on the ground in front of them because they're so focused on the mission. So in there you're more focused on the experience and allowing yourself to just observe and be part of it, right?
Yeah. And so, I didn't know really how to do that until I went to Nepal because my son had actually gotten ordained as a monk in a Thai monastery.
Wow. Did he shave his head? Did he have to shave his head?
Yeah.
Oh.
He still does every once in a while just
Nice.
to do it. He just did
Yeah.
it recently.
That's a lot of work though, to keep your head shaven. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, to keep it shaved. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so he usually just does it and then it grows in again.
Mm.
But so he was actually instrumental in helping me to be open to these different kind of experiences because, so it's a thing in Thailand to go around and visit different temples. So that's actually how I discovered the temple that I ended up being in for 2 months and doing photography and video for them.
So it's like a
Because
temple crawl.
He took me. What?
It's like a temple crawl.
It's kind of like that because, so I don't know if you know about Theravada Buddhism, but it's like the most hardcore of all the Buddhists.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with many of the Buddhist.
Okay, so this is like
Buddhist
one
sects.
of the sects.
Yeah.
And so SECT, it's one of the
course.
sects. And then, so it's very different than the other three. So it's pretty intense. So anyway, these monks can't drive. So they have to get somebody to drive them. And when they want to so they get a driver and then they're all excited to go around all these other temples in the country. And they just all do it.
Nice.
And so that's what we were doing. We were visiting these temples. And I'm like, what's going to happen next? So I meet this. I mean, he was enlightened. You could tell. He had this beautiful laugh. And he was just... I said, okay, I'm going to, stay for a couple nights and see. I ended up staying a couple months.
Wow. Just
And
the environment was so amazing.
Oh my God. I mean, it was just, there was like this special area where you could do walking meditation. And then it was normal to wake up at 3 a.m. I mean, you went to bed at 10, usually. And like I said, you're not pushing boulders, so it's not like you're doing anything difficult.
Right.
And so you're in this whole different awareness dimension.
It's so different from where we are now. It's just so different. But it was refreshing, right? I mean, you could have easily just pushed back from it and gone, this is not what I'm used to. But it's so different and novel and interesting. I mean,
well, this is why I don't understand why people don't want to do things that are really different. Like this is nothing like going to Europe.
Yeah, completely different.
It's just like a different planet. And so if you can go with that outlook, and I didn't even know all these things would happen, but I spent a lot, one time I spent 18 months in Asia and didn't come back.
Wow.
And went to
just moving from one country to the next.
Yeah, I think it was 5 countries that time. India, Nepal, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand. Yeah.
And you had different kinds of mystical experiences in each one of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every one I had. And they were all very distinctly different from one another too. And so, to lump them all in together isn't fair because each country is so distinctly different from the one next to it.
Right.
That it's going to give you a different experience. But if you start looking for temples to visit and holy places, you're going to find them. And you can, and I was completely shocked to find out in Thailand that there's so many temples you can just go and stay in just for a
You can
donation.
stay in them.
Yeah.
You can actually just go and stay. And if you're like so you only speak English, you don't speak Thai, can you actually do that? I mean, do they have
Yeah.
people who speak English?
Oh,
And you
yeah,
just
because I was the only one that spoke English when I stayed at that Thai monastery, the one for 2 months.
mm-hmm.
And so one of the reasons he didn't invite me because he even thought I knew about photography. I think it was more that he thought it would be good to have an English speaking person there, and he was learning it lightning quick. He was even making jokes in English, like
Wow.
so of course he was enlightened. So I mean, all these little things were like, oh my God, this guy is like, what else can he teach me? He taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, the interesting thing is everybody else didn't know English, but there was this one girl that was afraid. She was a nun. She was afraid to talk to me. And finally, after I'd been there about 2 weeks, she tried to say something, and she was actually better in English than any of the other ones.
Wow.
She was just scared
Maybe she
to
was spending
practice.
those 2 weeks boning up on it or studying or something.
Well, I think she was very intelligent. She had a disability with her hand, and I think she was very, because of that, and I only say that because I think she was very, I mean, she was a full-fledged nun. I think she was very shy and unassuming. And a lot of people that live in Thailand who are really Thai and they've never been anywhere else and they grew up Thai and they were born there are very shy of foreigners. Not so much when you go to like Chiang Mai and Bangkok. Those are totally different.
Sure.
This is an agricultural temple land up in the
Yep.
north of Thailand. People don't even go there. It's beautiful though.
No, the other thing about this is that you're so disconnected. I mean, I see this sometimes on social media where people go, "Oh, would you live in this cabin for a year for $1 million with no phone, no internet,
Of
no nothing,
course.
right?" And there's a lot of people who would say no. And there's studies who are like, you take a phone away from people for 24 hours and they go catatonic. So how can somebody go from, the life that we're living now to being in one of those places?
But I was thinking about this the other day, and as a kid, as a teenager, I would leave the house all the time with no money, no phone, no water, no
What?
nothing. So, that's not true now, but man, I can kick ass. Like, that's just normal. That's normal behavior for teenagers is when I was growing up. So it's
Yeah, same for me, right? But what's happened to our generations is like, well, those of us who are over 50, we know that we can do these things. We
Yeah.
have the strength. So
Yeah.
we just got to look back at our childhood and go, we did all sorts of things that were super risky back then, and we're
Super.
okay.
I know some of the chances, but I think we've gotten so away from like nature and disconnecting. That's what's so
Yes.
great about it, that you get out of the loop of even expecting spiritual mystical things to happen because you're too connected. And I include myself in it. When I'm here in Silicon Valley, I'm completely connected.
Yeah.
I don't
And you
feel
can't
that
step
way.
away from it.
Yeah, I got to be away from it to really, like that first time when I came back after being in Asia, Nepal, India, and Bali for almost 3 months. I saw Silicon Valley completely different than
Oh, I
how
bet.
I saw it.
I bet.
It was never the same again.
Yeah. But that's the same. You can say the same thing about all travel, especially if it's a long travel. I mean, I used to get this feeling all the time whenever I traveled, even for short periods. It's like I would come back home, and I'm like, wow, this is completely different from how I remember it. And of
Yeah.
course, the longer you've been away, the more that perception changes when you come back, right?
Well, I think it's even more intense when you go somewhere that doesn't have the facilities, that you're cut off,
Yeah.
where you have to ride your bike to get to Wi-Fi, where the
Yep.
Wi-Fi doesn't always work, where you just are not going to get the food you're used to. You're not going to be able to even speak English ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really challenging. I mean, you can do a lot of pantomime, though. I mean, it depends, because people were sort of like, thinking of me as like coming up to me and poking me with sticks or something, because I was such an oddity there. Like,
Well, it's
oh,
not the
listen,
same now. I'm assuming there have been more people coming through there and
I
maybe less
don't know
spin-off.
because listen to this. This was like, okay, what year was this that I lived there? I think it was 2012. And so I was doing all these video and photos for their website. Guess what? I went to look for the website. They never made the website.
Oh no. Maybe they realized they didn't need it after all.
Well, it's interesting to me because I thought, oh, I would like to tell people to be able to go there. So you can't book it ahead of time. You just have to show up.
It should show up. And I guess a lot of these temples are like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They don't have websites. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool actually. I mean, if they didn't make a website with the name of their temple, then I guess they don't have one unless they
Yeah.
use something else. I don't know, but I just thought it was interesting that they're still not really part of the internet age, which is actually kind of intriguing.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of happy to know that there are places like that that are off the grid that
Hmm.
you just need to know or you need to be there to know how to get there. And I mean, I think that's the same all over the world. There's plenty of places that are still, you know, local. There's no,
Yeah.
they have no they have no connection. They're not on booking. They're not anywhere. And the only way to find out about them is to actually get to that place and wander about or
And
ask people.
see, I think people don't know this.
Hmm. It's kind of like the dark web, right? People keep hearing about this dark web that you have to get that is difficult to get to. This is kind of like the dark world or something, or the light world, because
Except that it's
this is
light.
the dark part. Internet's the dark part. That's the light part that's off the grid.
Well, I think it's so intriguing to me that so doing that meditation retreat in Lumbini in Nepal, where Buddha was born, that wouldn't have happened unless I went there that first time. I didn't do the meditation retreat because I didn't even know it was there. But I saw
Yeah,
these nuns walking on the birthday thing, and I thought, I got to go talk to them. They were all in pink.
nice.
So I went to talk to them, and they said, okay, well, you're not going to be here long enough. I was going to leave in a couple days. So they said, you can be a part-time meditator. And then I said, okay,
I
cool.
didn't
I'll
even
do
know there was such
that.
a thing as a full-time, part-time meditator. But
Oh, I didn't. I think they were making a special, a provision for me. And then the next time I came back, I did the 10 days.
mm,
And so, it wasn't easy because you're meditating 14 hours a day,
but it must have taken a
which,
while for you to like disconnect. Although you were already a bit disconnected because you'd already gone through a few other countries where you were already meditating.
well, yeah. And also, I was so relieved to get there to this particular peaceful place in Lumbini because the energy in Lumbini is really special. They've kept it sacred and there's
Mm.
nothing commercial. So, different countries have invested money to make a temple, sort of like a monument there, but it's mainly Nepal, Indian
Yeah. Don't you?
places.
Sometimes I feel really disappointed when I see so much commercial stuff going up around sacred type places. Because I think this happened to me when we were going through southern Greece, the Peloponnese, and we were going to the ancient uh, archaeological site of Olympia. So where the Olympic Games first started
Wow.
a long time ago. There was no supposedly there was no village there. There was nothing there. There was just places for the games. So they had the running tracks and they had the places for just to hold the athletes when they were there and the spectators and all that stuff. But there was no villages, there was no services, nothing. They just brought everything in for the games and then they left, right? And I'm thinking I'm going to find these ruins in the middle of nowhere, and we start driving towards it, and there's a little town there. Like right beside the ruins, there's like a whole town sprouted up with hotels and restaurants and a little strip of cobbled streets, and they had like flags from every country of the world all up there. And I'm like, you have
Yeah.
to go past this to get to the archaeological site, which is still, in pristine shape. So it kind of made me sad that that all this commercialism like started up around this. I would have rather have been, seen it in its pristine state, so I could have seen what it was like then, just coming up to it. I mean, it's the site itself was not commercialized, but
Mhm.
everything around it had become commercialized. So I kind of felt sad that this had to happen. But I guess it has to happen in the world that we're in. But
I
being
don't.
away from that commercialism makes it. I mean, it made it more special, I think, when it
Well,
was
I think there are places that have kept it in check. Because, like Machu Picchu, have you been there?
not yet.
Okay, so when I went there, I was surprised how they did it. Now, they have changed it a little bit, but so you actually have to take a bus. If you're just going into Machu Picchu, you have to take a bus from Agua Caliente, which is at the foot of this mountain. So you take the bus up, and it's like, I don't know, half an hour.
Hmm.
And then you get to the top, and there's one fancy hotel up there.
Right.
Now, I wonder if there's actually more. Like, it's ridiculously, at that time, and this was almost 20 years ago, it was still like $700 a night. Like,
Yikes.
really?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't, because how did those guys get in anyway? It was probably another country. But anyway, but there was really nothing else. Like, you were not allowed to bring food in. There was no bathroom in there.
Hmm.
So you had to come back to the entrance if you wanted to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting. And I wonder if that's changed a lot, because now you have to actually have a guide to go in there, which I don't think is so great, because I really enjoyed, it was a mystical experience for me, walking around just unhindered, letting the place roll over me, because when you see it for the first time, you're so stunned that it's way better than seeing it in a picture. You can almost hardly believe it.
Yeah. Well, this kind
It's
of
just
almost
so
lines up.
beautiful.
This almost lines up a little bit with what we were talking about, like tourism in general.
Yeah.
Sort of just taking over the world, taking over all these sacred places, and these areas have to cater to the tourists that are there, because if Machu Picchu is inundated with tourists, and they get lost and whatever happens, then they've got to put some boundaries around it, and it loses some of the initial essence of the place when that kind of thing happens.
Yeah, I think it does too. But, part of the problem can be said that just to do tour groups, I mean, when I did it, I would see these like 20 and 25 person tour groups, and it was like, it's too many people. I mean, it's really big.
It's almost like a little tribe, though, and that's the problem, is that they all communicate with themselves and they don't interact with what's outside.
Nothing.
Right. Exactly. So that's the thing. That's the thing I don't like about these tour groups.
I don't either.
Yeah.
No, in fact, you know what? I just thought of this when I was in Delhi, and I was having this spiritual experience at the center of the Sikh faith. I didn't know what it was.
Wow.
I saw it and I was like, I got lost that day. I don't really know Delhi that well. And
getting lost is probably a good idea, right?
It's good.
You come across all sorts of things.
I discovered the heart of the Sikh faith.
Wow.
And so I see this like huge, I thought, I'm going to go in there. And so I was doing, I think this was right after I did my Kundalini yoga teacher certification. So that came out of the Sikh
That was a huge
faith.
deal. It's like fate. Put this in your lap.
And so I was wearing a white thing in my head, but my hair was shown in the middle. And so the guy at the entrance of this place goes, well, your hair shows. You got to wear this orange thing that he hands me. And I'm like, I'm not putting that on my head.
Well, just like in the monasteries in Greece, it's like women have to wear this, like they hand out this skirt thing that you're supposed to wear. And I'm like, no, I'm not putting that on.
I mean, it's common. And so I'm like, no, I'm not putting that on. I'd already had some problem with bed bugs and problems.
Yeah, we don't want that.
You never know when that's going to happen. Anyway, so I changed the white thing in my head. And then I walk in there, and it's like everybody was so nice to me. There are all these rooms with carpets. and people hanging out on the floor, sitting there on these carpeted rooms. And then there's this huge inner hallway. Like, I was blown away.
Were they
that it was.
meditating or talking, or
No,
what
they
were they
were
doing?
just the people
Hanging
in
out?
the rooms were talking. They look
Hmm.
like these are family rooms, like outside of the ceremony. But then if you went to the center, it was more of a holy vibe. Like
Mm.
there was a ceremony going on. I don't know what was going on, but I just felt like I was seeing something really amazing that I
Wow.
never would have seen if I didn't take that chance to go in there. Like there was,
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing, but there was a ceremony
Yeah.
and it looked pretty holy. And plus, I'm standing on this marble staircase going, I can't even believe I'm in this place.
I know.
Like, what's going to happen next? And then these people in these rooms were saying, hey, come and sit down with us and chat. And then I tried to find the bathroom. I couldn't find it. It was so big, this place. I had to get somebody to help me. And then, okay, so the reason I brought this up was as I was walking out, I don't know how long I'd been in there, I ran into this tour group. And, they looked like they were from North America. And they looked afraid to talk to me.
Wow.
And I was like, you dummies, I'm one of you. I'm a tourist like you. And I could tell this was like my first experience of feeling this way, that they were so in their little bubble, and it was a
Yeah.
big group, that they were scared to talk to anybody outside of it. And I thought,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not feeling that way, because I would have never walked into this place alone.
Yeah. And it's interesting you should say that, because it's almost like there's two different kinds of tour operators. There's the ones that encourage intercommunication between the tourists, and the ones that like basically just talk about where they are. And I think those ones that create the intercommunication between the tourists, they kind of ruin the experience, because there's just this mass of people who are communicating amongst themselves, as opposed to experiencing what's outside.
That's the problem right there.
Yeah,
and that's what I have against the groups.
And I think it doesn't have to be a very big group to be a problem. Like when you're a solo traveler, it's one thing. You can experience everything. You don't have to interact with anyone else. And maybe 2 or 3 people tops. But once you get beyond that, then it's almost like this is your little clique that's moving around the planet, and you're interfacing with your clique as opposed to what's happening outside of you.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I thought, because I thought this group is maybe going to go in there. I don't know if they ended up going or not, but I just thought, wow, they can't even decide whether they're going in there.
Yeah.
They're being told where to go, who to talk to, and to be scared of me. I don't look that scary.
Not even in the morning. No.
Well, I was all in white with my white turban. I mean, so when you do I actually did stay and did I taught a photography course at a Sikh international school in India. So those guys were all 100% Sikh, and I didn't, realize that a lot of people who weren't born in that religion and are from North America and stuff, they, you can become Sikh too. So that was news to me.
Yeah.
To me.
So one of the things that's come out of that is that, I don't think people should do tour groups.
I don't
They shouldn't
either.
do tour groups at all, because you're not really getting the experience. You're not really getting anything out of the experience, are you?
Well, nothing cultural.
Yeah.
I mean, people ask me all the time when I do these workshops. I just did the last one, and people will say, well, what cruise do you recommend? Recommend any.
Not that kind of travel.
And then what else? Oh, and what group do you recommend? So then I got to bring in, I want to inform them, because I can't think of any that I could really recommend.
Well, what is it? I mean, what is I guess it's safety in numbers or something like that, or being told what to do. Like, what is so compelling about being in a tour group?
Well, I've been trying to find out, because the ones, and I'm leading one, and it's 6 people max.
So your tour group is fine. The rest of them is the problem.
Yes, mine is fine. And that will be another link. It's in Sicily for a week.
That's a third link I'm going to put in the show notes. So good.
Well, this is, I really want to give people a chance to do this
Hmm.
because we're going to have to book it soon because it's including accommodation this time. I didn't do that before, but it's helpful because people are very overwhelmed. Even if I tell them where to book,
Mm.
I decided this one I was going to include it because it just makes it easier for them.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
those
so I
things.
think that's part of it.
Yeah, those things are okay. But once you get to the location, you want them to experience where you are and not just, be chatting amongst themselves, right? I mean, that's the
Exactly.
key.
Well, that's why it has to be small because this is what I've seen. Sometimes what happens is, and this always happens actually, the people in my group will start talking to people outside of the group
Mm.
because it's just a natural thing that we do. We sit down at a cafe, we act friendly to other people, and people start talking to you. And
That's the
I
key.
just don't
That's
see
the key
that
right there.
happening
Yeah,
in
that's
big
the key.
groups.
Yeah, but even in the big groups, they aren't really encouraged to do that, are they? It's like, oh,
No.
look, you all get to know each other. Like, no, I don't want to get to know other people in the group who are from the same place as me. I want to get to know other people, people where I am.
Yeah, and and think about that deeply when you're considering who you're going to travel with because sometimes when you travel with people they keep you from doing that kind of thing because they don't want to mingle with other people.
Yeah.
And I really like that part of it. I
Well,
think
yeah,
it's very fun.
you're not really experiencing a place unless you do that, right?
I don't think you are. I mean,
Mm.
the whole, and that's why I was thinking about this too. Being immersed in the culture helps you to see the spiritual significance, the mystical things that you don't know about that you're going to find out about by being there. Like I never would have found out about that Thai temple if my son, who was in another temple
Mm.
across the city and he was ordained in that one, if he didn't know about it. So he knew all these like enlightened masters in the area. He'd visited them already. And then we were doing it for me because I was there visiting. And so it's like, they don't even have a website. How are you going to find them? You've got to be boots on the ground
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta get there. You gotta be there. You gotta be.
and
It's really
try
the
it
only way.
out.
Yeah. And like most of these things are offline, so you can't even find out about them online, right?
Well, yeah, there was this another thing. I stayed, and this is well known. It's the Kopan Monastery outside of Kathmandu, and that's for monks, and that's very well known. It's
Mm.
probably the most well known monastery in the
Tour
whole
buses pulling up
country.
every day.
No.
Okay.
No, no, I don't know what they did about tour buses, but I never saw one there. I stayed there a number of times.
Mm.
But here's the part that's interesting. I thought I would investigate these Buddhist nuns further down the hill.
Right.
And I found out so I made friends with them. They were actually a subset, or they were somehow related with the Kopan Monastery, but they were very small when I first started going there. And then, so this is a cool experience. So the first time I went there, I found out you could stay there. It was like $8 a night.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm in. This sounds great. At the monastery, it was like $15 a night. So,
Oh,
hey,
geez, a
what a
little
deal.
pricey.
Plus, even though it wasn't as kind of fancy as the Kopan up the hill, it was all, women Buddhist nuns from Tibet.
Nice.
They came from Tibet.
Wow.
And so you could hang out with them. So I made friends with the two that were running the place, younger than me, but these two are scholars. Anyway, we would just laugh and talk and have such a good time. And what I think the Dalai Lama helped fund this. They were building this enormous temple,
Hmm.
which was the size of a football field or something. So it
Holy
wasn't
cow.
done. It was
Mm.
like halfway. And so I said, hey, I could teach you Kundalini yoga, but where could we do it? And they're like, well, I guess we could do it in there with, I didn't even know where the lights were or anything. But we couldn't find a time because they're so busy. So the only time we could find was 4 a.m.
Oh, jeez.
And they agreed to it.
But they were probably up at 3:30 anyway, right?
Well,
I mean,
their meditation is at 5.
yeah.
So I said to the head nun, well, can we push back puja? Oh my God. She was like, no, we cannot push back puja.
Because it's on my Google Calendar and I can't move it.
It's sacred prayer time, Mary. Okay,
Yeah, what are you
fine.
talking about? You can't push back puja. You can't
So I
be
go
done.
to this enormous hall and I can't even find the light switch. There's dangling cords from the ceiling. Like this was in construction. We had a roof, but that's
And
about
how many
it.
were you teaching?
Huh?
Just how many were you teaching?
Well, we didn't know who would show up because they had to, come so early, but there were about 10.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see, and what kind of community? How did people know? They just said, "Hey, come to this thing." I mean, I'm assuming there's no electronic communications. It's just
There's kind of a nun grapevine.
yeah.
So I think these two, they're also in one of my, you can see this place. If you go to the Nepal playlist on my YouTube, you can see the place
Mm-hmm.
and see the nuns. And so now these nuns were amazing. Listen to this. They got put on a bus in Tibet when things were getting crazy over there by their parents. And the parents were thinking they might not ever see their children again.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
And they put him on the bus, and these two became nuns, and they do talk to their parents, but the parents aren't going to leave Tibet. And these two are like some of the happiest people. Like they've got to be enlightened too. I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like just meeting them, I felt like was a mystical experience because they're so generous and kind and beautiful and smart. Like they're basically PhDs in Buddhism. Like there's
Wow.
some kind of like level that they've reached with their studying, but they came as kids.
Yeah. Do you ever think that there's no way you can really get enlightened in this environment? Like it's impossible.
That's a good
You have to go to an
question.
environment like that to actually study enough to get to the point where you're enlightened.
I think you do have to leave because honestly, our religion here is money.
That's right.
And
It's been money for a while.
money, prestige, accomplishment, innovation, we'll add that. But when I don't know anybody that became enlightened here. All the enlightened people I know that are teaching in this area, and there's quite a few teachers that have come from other areas, they've all spent either they weren't born here or they spent significant time
Yeah.
in other places where they were practicing. Like I know this Tibetan nun, but I think she's from California, and she's very famous in this area. She did a 6-year meditation retreat over in Big Sur at the
Wow. Now that
something.
is
And
that's
guess
a
what?
nice long meditation retreat.
Guess what she says when people act like she's so amazing to her face for doing it? She goes, "Oh, it went fast." That's what she said. She's
I
very
love people who
funny.
have a completely different sense of time than us. It's
Well,
like
but
I
she's
just
one
find
of
that so
us.
fascinating. And I find it so fascinating.
But she's one of us.
It's like for me, 6 years feels like an eternity.
Oh yeah.
A year feels like an eternity. But for some of these people, it's like, oh yeah, we've been doing this for a decade, and as if they've been doing it for a week. It's amazing the time sense some people have.
I think, and so I've been following her. I met her in India, but she's from the United States. And so I met her, she was leading a retreat, and I just thought she was so funny. Like some of these teachers are really funny, which goes to show if you're funny, that shows intelligence.
Yes.
And it shows an awareness. And I can't think of anybody that I really look up to. Like even like the Dalai Lama's funny. He says funny things.
Oh yeah. But it's like almost everyone had to leave this environment to reach that level of spiritual fulfill of
Well, that's a
enlightenment.
really good point. And I
Yeah.
do think that's why I think we're doing what we're doing, because that's why I wanted to talk about spiritual and mystical experiences, because, I think it's much harder here.
Yeah, and think about what people are missing out on if they just have this. Like, is this? Do you ever do this? I'm sure people do this all the time. They sort of sit at their desk, or they're on their couch, or they're on their deck, and they're sitting there and they're going, "Is this all there is?
Yeah,
Is this all there is?" And I've got to say, I mean, we all have to say, this is not all there is. There is so much more,
vast.
and it can be experienced, and it's not really that difficult to experience it.
Well, I don't think people know, and myself included, I didn't know all of this stuff would happen. I just knew that I had a burning need to find out this stuff, but I didn't even know which way to go until I started following my heart
Mm.
and was like, okay, like I didn't have an interest in going to Asia. If my son hadn't gone there, I probably, maybe eventually I would have gone, but because of him leading the way, that's why it's so good to talk to people that are doing things like that are really foreign to you, but you have an interest in, to talk to those people, go to
Yeah.
those courses, have those interactions.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it's almost like starting up an engine, right? You need the spark. You need that initial spark to push you to say, okay, I'm going to do this now. Because you might have an aspiration to do something, but unless there's some spark, then it's going to be tough to get over that. I mean, you had the spark with your son. People have sparks with sometimes they have a divorce, or there's a life event, whatever, and that's the spark that gets them to do it. And you can actually create your own spark by talking to people who've already done it and get inspiration from that.
Yeah, you know what I'm seeing a lot too when I do my consultations, my one-on-ones, is that a lot of people, myself included, have had a very serious something bad happen, and then that turns you towards it
Yeah, that fires the spark for sure.
because you're looking for something else. And so if that doesn't happen and you're comfortable, which comfort is a trap.
Very much so. Very much so.
So, you can just kind of relax into that. And that's what I see a lot, especially here, because that's another kind of religion. Be comfortable, have all the stuff. And that doesn't give you ultimate happiness.
But those people who are looking around going, is that all there is? Is this all there is? Then there's something uncomfortable about that, right? There's something about our existence as it is today. It's not everything. We're only seeing a tiny little facet of all of existence, and we should have some burning desire to see more of it.
Well, I think you have to have that burning desire to start channeling it. Otherwise, it all starts with, is this all there is? Well, no, this isn't all there is. And I don't think people really follow their curiosities and do new things as much as maybe they'd like to do, but don't give themselves the grace and the opportunity to do it. Because even going to Europe for people is scary.
And
And
one of the least scary places on the planet.
exactly. So, but you don't know until, because you hear, pickpocketing stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
anyway, even if it does happen, that's not the end of the world. It's not like you're being murdered or some physical
Yeah.
awful thing. Like, it doesn't, I just don't see. I felt really safe traveling around Asia myself, to tell you the truth. And then, you go, then you start finding out these holy places you want to go to. Like, I didn't even talk about being in Varanasi, which is one of the holiest, oldest towns in the world.
Oh,
on
we'll
the
get to
Ganga
that in a
River.
future show for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we're running out of time. But yeah,
But see,
there's
so this
a lot
is
more.
I have a belief. I think you're right about there has to be some event has to occur, typically, for almost everybody. In fact, also to the other nomads who I've been talking to, it's the same sort of thing. There's something happens, It's
Illness,
outside.
breakup,
Yeah, it's outside.
divorce.
Yeah, it's outside of their control, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what drives them into wanting to do this. But it's my contention that you don't have to wait for that. You can create your own spark
Oh
to push
yeah,
yourself out
I
out of
agree
your
with
comfort zone.
you.
Yeah.
However, I think because of that comfort being a trap thing,
Yes.
myself included, I was
Yeah.
also deep in comfort
Oh
land
yeah, we were we
before.
were all trapped at some
Oh my
point.
God. Oh my God. And I like to tell people, listen, I only took luxury trips spending $1,000 a day. I don't do that now. And I'm having a much better time. But
Yeah.
I did do that. And that's not to me what traveling is about. It was
Yeah.
fun.
But it's also not all that it's cracked up to be. Everybody thinks it's so amazing, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, I was on some like expedition in Guatemala with this learned guy who was a natural doctor, and then a lot of younger kids. And this one guy said to me, "Gee, I wonder what it would be like to stay in a hotel that was $500 a night," because this was like $10 or something. And I go, "Well, I've stayed in them, and it's not that great." And he looked at me like I was from another planet.
I know. You know, they don't see it. Well, you can't unless you experience it, you can't tell,
Well, I
right?
thought it was very interesting because, see, if you think, before you experience anything, and it applies to what we're talking about, it's like you don't even know that any kind of thing like that, something that's luxury, yeah, it is fun, but it isn't what the things that I actually remember are things that we're talking about like this that changed my life and transformed my world.
Yeah, the spiritual side of it, not the materialistic side. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this has been fantastic. Once again, every time. And now I have a lot of links to put in the show notes. So this has been great. Thank you
Oh,
so
I'll send
much.
them. Yeah.
Please do. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
See you next time.
Chris.
Have a good one.
Okay. See you
Bye.
next time. Bye bye.
Oh, I'm living that nomad life, city to city, feeling alive. From mountain tops to ocean drives, unchained. I thrive, I thrive. Oh, I thrive, I thrive, I thrive. I thrive, I thrive, I thrive.